Thanks to Toy News Eye for collaborating with me on this one. You can check out the reviews on their forums and the links in the description down below. Kaiju, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors. Steven here, and I'm back bringing you yet another Godzilla King of the Monsters review for you. This time we're going to be taking a look at a poster version of Godzilla King of the Monsters. No, you silly, it's not that one. It's from the other kaiju action figure company. Yeah, that's right, it's the original Godzilla King of the Monsters, NECA's Godzilla 1956 poster version. Very, very cool. So this is going to be a repaint of NECA's Godzilla 1954, along with a stylish box and a nice backdrop with a flame effect to help you recreate what happens on the poster. However, with a little bit of an uptick in price and, well, sometimes questionable quality, is this figure going to be worth picking up to put on your shelf? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not he's worth adding into your collection. When it comes to sculpt and paint, you already know how this figure is sculpted. Really, really, really well. As a matter of fact, if you need a reference point for their 1954 Godzilla, you should check out the figure fight that I did. Anyway, for the paint, NECA really tried as best they could to match it up with what we saw on the poster, and in some areas they really succeeded, going to extreme lengths of detail. For example, only a few of the paint on Godzilla's lower row of teeth are actually painted. The rest are just gray, almost hidden in the mouth. However, other areas, like the fact that Godzilla should have white claws on his hands, that got overlooked. So in terms of accuracy, yeah, they got the big picture. However, in terms of the actual figure, well, it can be a bit of a mixed bag in some areas, and it's knocked out of the park in others. What am I talking about? Well, as we go through the close-up view of the figures, for whatever reason, Godzilla's eyes here look haunting. I don't know, something unnatural about them. Not that they look bad, but they look scary. Now moving on throughout the rest of the figure, you're going to notice a typical trend. It looks like the figure was cast in the same plastic that the original 1954 Godzilla was cast in. Going to be a charcoal gray black plastic, and then they're going to go with a dark green and then a light green brushing throughout the figure, which does look nice. What doesn't look nice is the random drips of red from the dorsal plates found throughout the figure, at least on mine. It's found on the neck, it's found on the arms, it's found on the back, it's found on the legs. That definitely could have been tightened up. I know the price point is questionable in terms of how great the quality is going to be, but it's kind of frustrating seeing a blotch of red paint, which is rather jarring with the green. But in regards to the green paint application, in some areas, it's rather heavy-handed, which is just personal preference, like on the head, where in other areas, it's a nice smooth transition, like on the torso. Another area of question, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, I just think maybe they could have lightened up on the amount of paint used on the brush for that, is that there is going to be green dry brushing on the toes. Doesn't necessarily look the best to me, but for some folks, they are going to love it. Now, taking a look at the dorsal plates in specific, they actually did a rather nice job throughout most of them. The only one that really has any issues is going to be the one below the biggest on the back here of mine, where it looks like the red paint kind of, well, jumped around a little bit. Otherwise, the dorsal plates are looking great with a little bit of red, white, and pink paint to really bring out those details. So all in all, this figure is definitely not going to be down the middle as to whether or not it's going to look good or bad. It is simply going to look. Some issues, some things it does well. Going to be up to you on this one. All right, time to talk about articulation, and I got two things to say. First and foremost, bendy tail. Yep, bendy wire. So they didn't switch everything over to fully jointed yet, which is understandable because this is a repaint. And second, when you get this, heat it up. Hot water bath, blow dryer from head to toe, heat it up. Because if this was like mine, you're probably going to break something, okay? Okay, I'll tell you more in a second. So what do we have? Well, obviously we're going to have a hinge for the jaw. Open and close, open and close. This section, ball joint. We can twist and turn it, move it back and forth. This section here, ball joint as well. Godzilla can look down and look up, twist and turn his head, exorcist on you. We have ball jointed shoulders. Pretty nice range of movement there. We have swivels where the elbows plug into the bicep, and then obviously hinges as well. Then we have ball jointed wrists, so this way we can spin Godzilla's hands around. Pretty nice. And on mine, they were initially completely frozen in place, but we do have hinges for the little fingers. So do keep in mind, like I made mention, you're gonna probably have to heat this up. I literally had to turn this hand into basically rubber in order for me to free up this joint. Yeah, I was really, really stuck, so be careful there. We have a ball jointed ab crunch, so this way we can move Godzilla down about that far back. Rock from side to side. Man, his neck is doing all sorts of things. So yeah, so that's pretty good. Good range of movement there. We do have ball jointed hips, which still, for whatever reason, aren't really all that helpful for anything. In any NECA Godzilla figure, it seems like all the hips are kind of useless, but hey, you know what? They can move. We do have swivels here for the knees where the hinge plugs in, because we do have hinges as well. Once again, make sure you heat it up. Mine were on the verge of breaking. And then we have a ball joint that plugs into the lower portion of the leg. And then, interestingly enough, there's just a little peg that plugs into the foot for the ankle joint. So this way we can basically get ball jointed movement. We get a little bit of rocker movement, can spin it around. That's all good. The tail is going to be identical to the original 1954 release, where we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 ball joints here. So this way we can move the tail around. And then this portion is going to be bendy wire. And then just like on my original 1954, I fear this may break. And I actually got that on camera during the figure fight video. So all in all, the articulation is good, it's serviceable, and you can get this Godzilla into a couple of fun poses to recreate the poster or whatever else you have in mind. All right, time for accessories, and this Godzilla does come with a flame breath, and this is going to be the same one that comes with Godzilla 1962. It's just painted different to match the poster artwork, and I gotta say, this one here, they did a much better job executing that blast effect. It does look great, and as an aside note, since this is the exact same beam that came with the 1962 Godzilla, you can swap them between either Godzilla as you would please. Or maybe they're going to be using this beam for another Godzilla coming up. Who knows? Now the star of the show here, we do get an insert with the box for Godzilla 1956 here. And the whole gimmick here is that you're supposed to fold this up in a certain way, so this way Godzilla can stand in it and recreate the poster. But there's an issue. The pictures you're going to be seeing now are just some up-close shots, so you can gauge, if you will, the printing detail of the poster recreation here. The issue is that throughout the box, it mentions Godzilla, King of the Monsters, it's alive. However, in the actual fold-out cardboard thing that we get, that is omitted, despite the fact that it was shown in the promo pictures and in any promotional displays this figure had. So, one of the defining features of the poster is not on the thing we use to recreate it. Good job. Now, I know what some of you folks are thinking. Can you use any other Godzillas with this fold-out? Well, guess what? You can. And here's just a quick couple examples for you. So if you want to swap in any other Godzillas, you definitely can. Now, even though this isn't exactly an accessory, I do feel like this is going to be the selling point for a lot of folks. So here's the box, which does feature in very, very large print all throughout it, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Now, allegedly, there was something that happened with licensing where they had to pull it away from the cardboard insert that you could use for the display, but it's all over throughout the rest of the box. So I don't quite know what the reasoning is. So here's a full 360 spin view with that cardboard insert to help with the display and Godzilla in it. It doesn't really lend itself too well to this kind of display, but this way you can see it from pretty much all sides. Overall, this is a pretty neat idea in concept, but once again, in execution, it's kind of clunky, especially because Godzilla King of the Monsters is missing from the fold-out. Now we're going to go ahead and move right on over to size comparison because, well, let's be honest here, there's going to be a couple of folks who don't know how big this figure is. So as you can see, it will fit in just perfectly fine with pretty much any 6-inch Godzilla display you already have. And if you happen to already have the original 1954 release from NECA, maybe you're looking to see where the paint differences are, or you just want to compare the quality between the two. Here you go, a side-by-side comparison in some aspects with the original 1954 Godzilla. So buy it now, skip it, or wait for a deal. Overall, this is a very cool concept of a figure, and I am very, very happy to own it. However, there were a couple of small things here and there that NECA dropped the ball on, and the biggest issue is going to be the removal of Godzilla King of the Monsters on the actual foldout that we have for the intention of recreating the poster on our shelf. Kinda sorta defeats the purpose. At that point, I'll just display the box behind the figure. I think that'll look a little nicer. Anyway, if you're thinking about picking up this figure, yes, it is very good. It is a very unique design, but just keep in mind, you may have a couple of paint drips here and there where they shouldn't be. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for STR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand-selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand-selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.